Radha Krishna Prestayate Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Namine Gora Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prestayate Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Namine Gora Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prestayate Namo Siddhaswarupananda Bhagavandas Namine Gora Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prestayate Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nayanya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nayanya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nayanya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nayanya Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Vasane Gauraptarenda Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Vasane Gauraptarenda Gopala Govinda Rama Haribo Krishna Madana Mohana Haribo Krishna Gopala Govinda Rama Haribo Krishna Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Haribo Krishna Madana Mohana Haribo Krishna Gopala Govinda Rama Haribo Krishna Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Haribo Krishna Madana Mohana Haribo Krishna Gopala Govinda Rama Haribo Krishna Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Haribo Krishna Madana Mohana Haribo Krishna Gopala Govinda Rama Haribo Krishna Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Haribo Krishna Madana Mohana Haribo Krishna Gopala Govinda Rama Haribo Krishna Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Haribo Krishna Madana Mohana Haribo Krishna Gopala Govinda Rama Haribo Krishna Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Haribo Krishna Madana Mohana Haribo Krishna Gopala Govinda Rama Haribo Krishna Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Haribo Krishna Madana Mohana Haribo Krishna Gopala Govinda Rama Haribo Krishna Jaya Jaya Gurudev Haribo Krishna Jaya Jaya Gurada Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurada Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurada Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev Haribo Krishna Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada Haribo Krishna Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Haribo Krishna Ananda Paramahamsa Haribo Krishna Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Haribo Krishna Ananda Paramahamsa Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Namine Gaura Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prasayate Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Namine Gaura Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prasayate
So this morning we'll be reading some from the Madhya Lila of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Madhya is the pastimes after Nimai's childhood, during which he took householder life and before he took sannyas. So sannyas is the renounced order of life whereby they would take a vow to completely avoid certain things that are more accepted in society and live more of an austere and isolated life, usually in the forest or wandering to different sacred places. And Lord Chaitanya eventually took sannyas because he knew that it would be beneficial to the people in general, because when they saw a person in sannyas at that time, people would bow and offer respects, and treat them very nicely. And so by doing that, unknowing to them, because when a person doesn't have spiritual vision, they're not able to recognize the Supreme Lord when he's right in front of them. But because he was a sannyas, they would offer respect and maybe offer him some nice gifts or, just being kind and generous to him. And they would accrue so much spiritual benefit by doing that because he was the Lord. And so this was the primary reason why he decided to take sannyas, for the benefit of the people in general, because he came to save the most fallen and to propagate the holy name throughout the whole world. So, but his devotees and friends and family were so heartbroken when he took sannyas. It was just such a sad moment, because they loved Nimai, they loved Lord Chaitanya, they loved his flowing black hair. They didn't want him to cut his hair. This was like really, really big deal for Mother Sachi and many of the others, for him to shave his head and take off and go away from them. It was just so sad. It was like they had lost their very life. But it was a transcendental sadness, which they were still so happy that, that Lord Chaitanya was there with them in their hearts, but they didn't want to see him go. But this is the thing, we can never control the Lord. The Lord has his own will, and he does what he does. So let's read some about his pastimes here. This is the Madhya Lila, and we're going to be reading about some of his talks with one of his devotees, Ramananda Roy. And Ramananda Roy is actually Arjuna. So just as we discussed before, how Balaram, his brother, Krishna's brother, appeared as Lord Nityananda, and Mahavishnu came as Advaita, and Radharani came as Gadadhar. Arjuna actually came as Ramananda Roy. So many of his associates, many demigods came so that they could engage in Lord Chaitanya's pastimes with him. And if you know the story of the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna was a friend and disciple of Krishna, and he actually has many incarnations and appearances together with Krishna. And even in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says to Arjuna, I can remember all of your past lives, but you cannot, O Arjuna. So Arjuna and Krishna, the pair, the duo, are also called Narayan. And sometimes even it says in the Krishna book that Arjuna is sometimes referred to also as Krishna. So, because they're always together. So sometimes people in the specific passage we were looking at, where are the two Krishnas? They're referring to Arjuna and Krishna. So this is how close he is with the Lord. So here's Ramananda Rai, and we'll be reading about what his specific expertise is in regard to Lord Chaitanya and in regard to the mellows of devotional service. So this is the introduction. The summary of the 8th chapter is given by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in the Amrita Pravaha Bhashya. After visiting the temple of Jayad Nrsinga, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to the banks of the river Godavari to a place known as Vidyanagara. When Srila Ramananda Rai went there to take his bath, they both met. After being introduced, Sri Ramananda Rai requested Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to remain in the village for some days. Honoring his request, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stayed there in the home of some Vedic Brahmanas. In the evening, Sri Ramananda Rai used to come to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Ramananda Rai, who was clothed in ordinary dress, offered the Lord respectful obeisances. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu questioned him on the object and process of worship, and also asked him to recite verses from Vedic literature. First of all, Sri Ramananda Rai enunciated the system of the Varnashram institution. He recited various verses about Kamarpana, stating that everyone should be dedicated to the Lord. He then spoke of detached action, knowledge mixed with devotional service, and finally, the spontaneous loving service of the Lord. After hearing Srila Ramananda Rai recite some verses, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the principle of pure devotional service devoid of all kinds of speculation. After this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Ramananda Rai to explain the higher platform of devotional service. Then Srila Ramananda Rai explained unalloyed devotional service, love of Godhead, serving the Lord with pure servitude, as well as in fraternity and parental love. Finally, he spoke of serving the Lord in conjugal love. He then spoke of how conjugal love can be developed in various ways. This conjugal love attains its highest perfection in Srimati Radharani's love for Krishna. He next described the position of Srimati Radharani in the transcendental mellows of love of God. Sri Ramananda Rai then recited one verse of his own concerning the platform of ecstatic vision, technically called Prema Vilasa Vivarta. Srila Ramananda Rai also explained that all stages of conjugal love can be attained through the mercy of the residents of Vrindavan, especially by the mercy of the gopis. All these subject matters were thus vividly described. Gradually, Ramananda Rai could understand the position of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exhibited his real form, Ramananda Rai fell unconscious. After some days, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Ramananda Rai to retire from government service and come to Jagannath Puri. These descriptions of the meetings between Ramananda Rai and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are taken from the notebook of Swarup Damodar Goswami. Okay, so here we go. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was known as Gauranga, is the reservoir of all conclusive knowledge and devotional service. He empowered Sri Ramananda Rai, who may be likened to a cloud of devotional service. This cloud was filled with all the conclusive purports of devotional service and was empowered by the ocean to spread this water over the sea. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself was the ocean of knowledge of pure devotional service. All glories to Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All glories to Lord Nityananda. All glories to Advaita Acharya. and all glories to all the devotees of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. According to his previous program, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went forward on his tour, and after some days arrived at the place of pilgrimage known as Jagad Nrsinga. After seeing the deity of Lord Nrsinga in the temple, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu offered his respectful obeisances by falling flat. Then, in ecstatic love, he performed various dances, chanted, and offered prayers. All glories to Nrsingadev! All glories to Nrsingadev, who's the Lord of Prahlad Maharaj, and like the honeybee, is always engaged in beholding the lotus-like face of the goddess of fortune. Although very ferocious, the lioness is very kind to her cubs. Similarly, although very ferocious to non-devotees like Hiranyakashipu, Lord Nrsingadev is very, very soft and kind to the devotees like Prahlad Maharaj. In this way, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recited different verses from the Shastra. The priest of Lord Nrsingadev then brought garlands and the remnants of the Lord's food and offered them to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. As usual, a Brahmana offered Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu an invitation. The Lord passed the night in the temple and then commenced his tour again. The next morning, in the great ecstasy of love, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started on his tour with no knowledge of the proper direction, and he continued the whole day and night. So he's gone on a tour, he doesn't know where he's going, he's just wandering. I don't know if anyone's ever tried that, but as previously, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu converted to Vaishnavism many people he met on the road. After some days, the Lord reached the banks of the river Godavari. When he saw the river Godavari, the Lord remembered the river Yamuna, and when he saw the forest on the banks of the river, he remembered Sri Vrindavan Dham. After performing his usual chanting and dancing for some time in this forest, the Lord crossed the river and took his bath on the other bank. After bathing in the river, the Lord walked a little distance from the bathing place and engaged in chanting the holy name of Krishna. At that time, accompanied by the sounds of music, Ramananda Rai came there, mounted on a palanquin to take his bath. Many Brahmanas, following the Vedic principles, accompanied Ramananda Rai. According to the Vedic rituals, Ramananda Rai took his bath and offered oblations to his forefathers. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could understand that the person who had come to bathe in the river was Ramananda Rai. The Lord wanted so much to meet him that his mind immediately began running after him. Although Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was running after him mentally, he patiently remained sitting. Ramananda Rai, seeing the wonderful sannyas, then came to see him. Srila Ramananda Rai then saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as brilliant as 100 suns. The Lord was covered by a saffron garment. He was large in body and very strongly built, and his eyes were like lotus petals. When Ramananda Rai saw the wonderful sannyas, he was struck with wonder. He went to him and immediately offered his respectful obeisances, falling down flat like a rod. The Lord stood up and asked Ramananda Rai to arise and chant the holy name of Krishna. Indeed, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very eager to embrace him. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then inquired whether he was Ramananda Rai, and he replied, "Yes, I am your very low servant, and I belong to the Sudra community." Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then embraced Sri Ramananda Rai very firmly. Indeed, both the master and the servant almost lost consciousness due to ecstatic love. Their natural love for one another was awakened in them both, and they both embraced and fell down on the ground. When they embraced one another, ecstatic symptoms, paralysis, perspiration, tears, shivering, palpitations, and paleness appeared. The word Krishna came from their mouths falteringly. When the stereotyped, ritualistic Brahmanas who were following the Vedic principles saw this ecstatic manifestation of love, they were struck with wonder. All these Brahmanas began to reflect as follows. These Brahmanas began to think, we can see that this sannyasi has a luster like the effulgence of Brahman, but how is it he is crying upon embracing a Sudra, a member of the fourth caste in the social order? They thought, this Ramananda Rai is the governor of Madras, a highly learned and grave person, a Mahapandit, but upon touching this sannyasi, he's become restless like a madman. While the Brahmanas were thinking in this way about the activities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Rai, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw the Brahmanas and restrained his transcendental emotions. When they regained their sanity, they both sat down, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to smile and speak as follows. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya has spoken of your good qualities, and he's made a great endeavor to convince me to meet you. Indeed, I have come here just to meet you. It is very good that even without making an effort, I have gotten your interview here. Ramananda Rai replied, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya thinks of me as his servant. Even in my absence, he is very careful to do me good. By his mercy, I have received your interview here. Consequently, I consider that today I have become a successful human being. I can see that you have bestowed special mercy upon Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Therefore, you have touched me, although I am untouchable. This is due only to his love for you. You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan himself, and I am only a governmental servant interested in materialistic activities. Indeed, I am the lowest amongst men of the fourth caste. You do not fear the Vedic injunction stating that you should not associate with the Sudra. You are not contemptuous of my touch, although in the Vedas you are forbidden to associate with Sudras. You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, therefore no one can understand your purpose. By your mercy you are touching me, although this is not sanctioned by the Vedas. You have come here specifically to deliver me. You are so merciful that you alone can deliver all fallen souls. It is the general practice of all saintly people to deliver the fallen. Therefore they go to people's houses, although they have no personal business there. My dear Lord, sometimes great saintly persons go to the homes of householders, although these householders are generally low-minded. When a saintly person visits their homes, one can understand that it is for no other purpose than to benefit the householders. Along with me, there are about 1,000 men, including the Brahmanas, and all of them appear to have had their hearts melted simply by seeing you. I hear everyone chanting the holy name of Krishna. Everyone's body is thrilled with ecstasy, and there are tears in everyone's eyes. My dear sir, according to your bodily features and your behavior, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such behavior and features are impossible for ordinary living beings, but they cannot possess such transcendental qualities. The Lord replied to Ramananda Rai, Sir, you are the best of the topmost devotees. Therefore, upon seeing you, everyone's heart has melted. Although I am a Mayavad sannyasi, as a non-devotee, and I am also floating in the ocean of love of Krishna simply by touching you, and what to speak of others. Knowing this, in order to rectify my heart, which is very hard, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya asked me to meet you. In this way, each of them praised the qualities of the other, and both of them were pleased to see one another. At this time, one Brahmana Vaishnava, following the Vedic principles, came and offered obeisances. He fell flat before Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and invited him for lunch. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the Brahmana's invitation, knowing him to be a devotee, and slightly smiling, spoke as follows to Ramananda Rai. I wish to hear from you about Lord Krishna. Indeed, my mind is inclined to desire this, therefore I wish to see you again. Ramananda Rai replied, My Lord, although you have come to correct me, a fallen soul, my mind is not yet purified simply by seeing you. Please, stay for 5 or 7 days and kindly cleanse my polluted mind. After that much time, my mind will certainly be pure. Although neither could tolerate the other's separation, Ramananda Rai nonetheless offered his obeisances to Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and departed. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then went to the house of the Brahmana who had invited him and took his lunch there. When the evening of that day arrived, both Ramananda Rai and the Lord were eager to meet one another again. After finishing his evening bath, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sat down and waited for Ramananda Rai to come. Then Ramananda Rai, accompanied by one servant, came to meet him. Ramananda Rai approached Lord Sri Chaitanya and offered his respectful obeisances, and the Lord embraced him. Then they both began to discuss Krishna in a secluded place. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ordered Ramananda Rai to recite a verse from the revealed scriptures concerning the ultimate goal of life. Ramananda replied that if one executes the prescribed duties of his social position, he awakens his original Krishna consciousness. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, is worshipped by the proper execution of prescribed duties in the system of Varna and Ashram. There is no other way to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One must be situated in the institution of the 4 Varnas and Ashrams. The Lord replied, "This is external. You had better tell me of some other means." Ramananda replied, "To offer the results of one's activities to Krishna is the essence of all perfection." So Chaitanya is asking Ramananda Rai to tell him what is the ultimate goal of life. And Ramananda Rai is going to get a few guesses here before he gets it right. So that's what we're going through. So he says, "O son of Kunti," first he says, "To offer the results of one's activities to Krishna is the essence of all perfection." Ramananda Rai continued, "O son of Kunti, all that you do, all that you eat, all that you offer and give away, as well as all austerities that you may perform, should be done as an offering unto me." "This is also external," Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said. "Please proceed and speak further on this matter." Ramananda Rai replied, "To give up one's occupational duties in the Varnashram is the essence of perfection." Ramananda Rai continued, "Occupational duties are described in religious scriptures. If one analyzes them, he can fully understand their qualities and faults, and then give them up completely to render service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such a person is considered a first-class man. As stated in Scripture, Bhagavad Gita 18, chapter 18, text 66, after giving up all kinds of religious and occupational duties, if you come to me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and take shelter, I will give you protection from all of life's sinful reactions. Do not worry." After hearing Ramananda Rai speak in this way, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "Go ahead and say something more." Ramananda Rai then replied, "Devotional service mixed with empiric knowledge is the essence of perfection." Ramananda Rai continued, "According to Bhagavad Gita, one who is thus transcendentally situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments nor desires to have anything. He's equally disposed to every living entity. In that state he attains pure devotional service unto me." After hearing this, the Lord, as usual, rejected it, considering it to be external devotional service. He again asked Ramananda Rai to speak further, and Ramananda Rai replied, "Pure devotional service without any touch of speculative knowledge is the essence of perfection." So he keeps trying, right? Try again. Ramananda Rai continued, "Lord Brahma said, 'My dear Lord, these devotees who have thrown away the impersonal conception of the absolute truth and have therefore abandoned discussing empiric philosophical truths should hear from self-realized devotees about your holy name, form, pastimes, and qualities. They should completely follow the principles of devotional service and remain free from illicit sex, gambling, intoxication, and animal slaughter. Surrendering themselves fully with body, words, and mind, they can live in any ashram or social status. Indeed, you were conquered by such persons, although you were always unconquerable.'" At this point, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, "This is all right, but still, you can speak more on the subject." Ramananda Rai then replied, "Ecstatic love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the essence of all perfection." Ramananda Rai continued, "As long as there is hunger and thirst, eating and drinking make one feel very happy. When the Lord is worshipped with pure love, transcendental bliss is awakened in the heart of the devotee. Pure devotional service in Krishna consciousness cannot be had even by pious activity in hundreds and thousands of lives. It can be attained only by paying one price, that is, intense greed to obtain it. If it is available somewhere, one must purchase it without delay." This transcendental greed to obtain pure devotional service is also called loliam, and it is the only greed which is sanctioned in the scriptures. Hearing up to the point of spontaneous love, the Lord said, "This is all right, but if you know more, please tell me." In reply, Ramananda Rai said, Spontaneous loving service in servitude, as exchanged by master and servant, is the highest perfection. By serving you constantly, one is freed from all material desires and is completely pacified. When shall we engage as your permanent, eternal servants and always feel joyful to have such a perfect master? Hearing this from Ramananda Rai, the Lord again requested him to go a step further. In reply, Ramananda Rai said, loving service to Krishna rendered in fraternity is the highest perfection. Those who are engaged in self-realization, appreciating the Brahman effulgence of the Lord, and those engaged in devotional service, accepting the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Master, as well as those who are under the clutches of Maya, thinking the Lord as an ordinary person, cannot understand that certain exalted personalities, after accumulating volumes of pious activities, are now playing with the Lord in friendship as cowherd boys. The Lord said, this statement is very good, but please proceed even further. Ramananda Rai then replied, loving service to the Lord in parental relationship is the highest perfectional stage. So it's not that what Ramananda is saying is wrong when it's being rejected by the Lord. The Lord is just trying to get him to go as deep as possible. So everything Ramananda Rai is saying has been true. Ramananda Rai continued, O Brahmana, what pious activities did Nanda Maharaj perform by which he received the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna as his son? And what pious activities did Mother Yasoda perform that made the Absolute Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna call her mother and suck her breasts? The favor Mother Yasoda obtained from Sri Krishna, the bestower of liberation, was never obtained even by Lord Brahma or Lord Shiva, nor even by the Goddess of Fortune, who always remains on the chest of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu. The Lord said, your statements are certainly getting better and better, one after the other, but surpassing all of them is another transcendental mellow, and you can speak of that as the most sublime. Ramananda Rai then replied, conjugal attachment for Krishna is the topmost position in love of Godhead. When Lord Sri Krishna was dancing with the gopis in the Rasa Leela, the gopis were embraced by the arms of the Lord. This transcendental favor was never bestowed upon the Goddess of Fortune or the other consorts in the spiritual world. Indeed, never was such a thing even imagined by the most beautiful girls in the heavenly planets, whose bodily luster and aroma resembled the lotus flower. And what to speak of worldly women who are very beautiful according to the material estimation? Suddenly, due to the gopis' feelings of separation, Lord Krishna appeared among them, dressed in yellow garments and wearing a flower garland. His lotus face was smiling, and he was directly attracting the mind of Cupid. There are various means and processes by which one may attain the favor of Lord Krishna. All these transcendental processes will be studied from the viewpoint of comparative importance. It is true that whatever relationship a particular devotee has with the Lord is best for him. Still, when we study all the different methods from a neutral position, we can understand that there are higher and lower degrees of love. Increasing love is experienced in various tastes, one above another, but that love which has the highest taste in the gradual succession of desires manifests itself in the form of conjugal love. There is a gradual order of improvement in transcendental mellows from the initial ones to the later ones. In each subsequent mellow, the qualities of the previous mellows are manifest, counting from 2, then 3, and up to the point of 5 complete qualities. As the qualities increase, so the taste also increases in each and every mellow. Therefore, the qualities found in Santa Rasa, Dasya Rasa, Shakya Rasa, and Vatshalya Rasa are all manifest in conjugal love, Madhurya Rasa. The qualities in the material elements, sky, air, fire, water, and earth, increase one after another by a gradual process of 1, 2, and 3, and at the last stage in the elemental earth, all 5 qualities are completely visible. It actually describes these qualities that it's talking about in the Srimad Bhagavatam, if you ever get a chance to read it. I think it's in the 2nd or 3rd canto. And it's really quite amazing because, sky or ether, you can't see it. You can't feel it, but it's just there. Air, you can't see it, but you can feel it with the wind comes, so it has the sense of touch. Fire, you can feel it and you can see it with your eyes, so the sense of sight. Water, you can feel it, you can see it, and you can taste it, so it has 3. And then earth, You can feel it, see it, taste it, and smell it. So each one has an additional quality. Complete attachment of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna is made possible by love of Godhead, specifically Madhurya Rasa or conjugal love. Lord Krishna is indeed captivated by this standard of love. This is also stated in Srimad Bhagavatam. Lord Krishna told the gopis, "The means of attaining my favor is loving service unto me, and fortunately you are all thus engaged. Those living beings who render service unto me are eligible to be transferred to the spiritual world and attain eternal life with knowledge and bliss. Lord Krishna has made a firm promise for all time. If one renders service unto him, Krishna correspondingly gives him an equal amount of success in devotional service to the Lord." According to Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, all of them, as they surrender unto me, I reward accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Pritha. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said that Lord Krishna cannot proportionately reciprocate devotional service in the Madhurya Rasa. Therefore, he always remains a debtor to such devotees. When the gopis were overwhelmed with dissatisfaction due to Lord Krishna's absence from the Rasa Leela, Krishna returned to them and told them, "My dear gopis, our meeting is certainly free from all material contamination. I must admit that in many lives it will be impossible for me to repay my debt to you, because you have cut off the bondage of family life just to search for me. Consequently, I am unable to repay you. Therefore, please be satisfied with your honest activities in this regard." Although Krishna's unparalleled beauty is the topmost sweetness of love of Godhead, his sweetness increases unlimitedly when he is in the company of the gopis. Consequently, Krishna's exchange of love with the gopis is the topmost perfection of love of Godhead. Although the son of Devaki, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the reservoir of all kinds of beauty, when he is among the gopis, he nonetheless becomes more beautiful, for he resembles a Marataka jewel surrounded by gold and other jewels. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, "This is certainly the limit of perfection, but please be merciful to me and speak more, if there is more." Ramananda Rai replied, "Until this day, I did not know anyone within this material world who could inquire beyond this perfectional stage of devotional service." Among the loving affairs of the gopis, Ramananda Rai continued, "The love of Srimati Radharani for Sri Krishna is topmost. Indeed, the glories of Srimati Radharani are highly estimated in all revealed scriptures. Just as Srimati Radharani is most dear to Krishna, her bathing place known as Radhakunda is also dear to him. Among all the gopis, Srimati Radharani is the supermost and is very dear to Lord Krishna." When the gopis began to talk amongst themselves, they said, "Dear friends, the gopi who has been taken away by Krishna to a secluded place must have worshipped the Lord more than anyone else." Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "Please, speak on. I am very happy to hear you because a river of unprecedented nectar is flowing from your mouth." During the Rasa dance, Sri Krishna did not exchange loving affairs with Srimati Radharani due to the presence of other gopis. Because of the dependence of the others, the intensity of love between Radha and Krishna was not manifest. Therefore, he stole her away. If Lord Krishna rejected the company of other gopis for Srimati Radharani, we can understand that Lord Sri Krishna has intense affection for her. Ramananda Rai continued, "Please therefore hear about the glories of Srimati Radharani's loving affairs. They are beyond compare within these three worlds." So we'll continue this at another time, and although we may be fallen and have no entrance into the inner nature of these activities, still it is so purifying for our hearts and minds to be reading this literature and studying and analyzing this conversation between Lord Chaitanya and Ramananda Rai. And I think it's very important and relates to the meaning of and the purpose behind Lord Chaitanya's descent, because as we were speaking on before, he came in the mood of Srimati Radharani with her complexion and her emotions. So we'll continue on with this at a later time, and thank you so much. Haribo.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Vishnu Padaya Bhutale Srimati Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa iti namine. Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa namine Ora Karuna Swarupaya Hare Krishna Pastimes. Namo Siddhaswarupananda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Dari Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sarega Vatu Vrindam. Was Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Dari Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sarega Vatu Vrindam. Was Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Dari Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sarega Vatu Vrindam. Gopala Govinda Rama Hare Krishna Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Hare Krishna Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Hare Krishna Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Hare Krishna Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Hare Krishna Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Hare Krishna Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Hare Krishna Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Hare Krishna Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Hare Krishna Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Hare Krishna Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Hare Krishna Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Hare Krishna Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Hare Krishna Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Hare Krishna Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Hare Krishna Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Hare Krishna Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Haribo Nitai Go Nitai Go Haribo 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 Nitai Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa, Bhagavan. Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada.